5.669 billion cedis in today's treasury bill auction, following strong investor appetite. Trade Ministry pledges government support for flat-hit local manufacturer to protect import substitution and jobs.
This plant employs about 600 people. Even if you're employing a person, 2 or 3, I'm so interested in what you do. It looks like we will soon be able to bring them back on stream if you're able to put 1 or 2 things together.
Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy calls for regulatory reforms to protect petroleum dealers from exploitative contracts.
The new MPA Act that is coming, dealers must be fully recognized. And beyond that, I also think that MPA must have an arm at its headquarters to listen to the plight of these dealers.
We have details of these headlines and other stories coming up shortly. Just stay with us. Thanks for your time. And now the news in details. Government of Ghana is set to return to the domestic money market today with a target to borrow 5.669 billion cedis through its weekly treasury bill issuance. This is 3 Business News Desk report. Has more.
The auction designated by the Bank of Ghana as Tender 2015 features the standard short-term debt instruments, including the 91-day, 182-day and 364-day bills. This massive borrowing target of 5.669 billion cedis arrives on the heels of a sustained 2-week streak of oversubscriptions in the primary market. This signals highly resilient investor appetite for short-term government securities amidst ongoing macroeconomic developments. 3 Business anticipates that the central bank will look to maintain stable yields during the tender while absorbing the high liquidity from institutional investors and primary dealers who continue to favor short-term tenors over long-term instruments. The funds raised from Tender 2015 are expected to assist government in meeting its immediate domestic financing needs and refinancing maturing short-term obligations.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report on government targeting 5.669 billion cedis in today's treasury bill auction, following strong investor appetite. And now, the Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry has assured of government support for a local manufacturing company following the June 29 floods. The move is part of government efforts to support Ghana's import substitution agenda and job sustainability.
The June 29 floods swept through the warehouse of 3 Dreamers Manufacturing Company, destroying goods worth millions of cedis. The Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Elizabeth Ofusue-Jare, during an assessment of the damage, said the government is committed to working with the company to restore the affected sections and help it return to full operations.
This plant employs about 600 people, and I think that as a minister responsible for industry, it is something that I'm interested in. Even if you're employing a person, 2 or 3, I'm so interested in what you do. So if you are doing 600, then you know that this is high priority. We've had major discussions on how we will move forward. It looks like we will soon be able to bring them back on stream if you're able to put 1 or 2 things together.
The company, which employs more than 600 people, says it is determined to continue production to sustain jobs.
We are praying that we can do more to help the country, because not only government can employ people. We too, we are ready to support government so that we can let people get something, get some job.
3 Dreamers Manufacturing Company uses locally sourced raw materials to produce confectionery, toilet rolls and pastries.
And that was a report on Trade Ministry pledging government support for flathead local manufacturer to protect import substitution and jobs. And now the Ghanaian German Economic Association, GRA, has convened its annual Meet the Government series to discuss practical ways to accelerate Ghana's economic transformation through trade and investment. The event serves as a strategic platform specifically designed to bring government representatives, state agencies and private sector leaders together around at a single table.
The forum focused on the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, the Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, and the 24-hour Economy and Accelerated Export Development Program. According to Executive Secretary Hilary Saki Koji of GGEA, the initiative provides a collaborative space for the private sector to engage directly with policymakers to address operational issues, voice concerns, and co-create practical solutions.
We wanted to understand the transformative pillars in the 24-hour economy because it's moved beyond political rhetorics. It's now become an authority. And so if there are programs they are running, how do businesses or how does private sector leverage on the transformative pillars to contribute to the growth?
Chief Program Officer at the 24-hour Economy Authority, Abdul Nasser Alidu, outlined structural frameworks aimed at driving transformation and increasing efficiency across Ghana's industrial landscape.
Companies will go through a gateway process where we put them into 4 different buckets. And depending on which bucket you fall into, there's very specific interventions that we provide for you. So they are going to get enterprise supports. They are going to get some non-fiscal incentives. We are supporting businesses to identify the kind of fiscal incentives that they can actually access. And we're also working with the Ministry of Finance to put in place a 24-hour economy incentive scheme that some of these businesses are going to benefit from.
As part of efforts by the 24-hour authority, a land policy has been finalized under the participatory land access model, which has already mobilized approximately 600 hectares of land to ensure investors face no legal or structural bottlenecks.
That was a report on Ghanaian German Economic Association hosting its annual Meet the Government series to unite policymakers and private sector leaders for economic growth. In more news this morning, and the Executive Director of the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSI, Benjamin Insian, has called for urgent regulatory reforms in Ghana's petroleum downstream sector to legally recognize and protect petroleum retail dealers. According to Insian, petroleum dealers were recognized body by the government until the passage of the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) Act in 2005.
The subsequent lack of formal recognition has left these critical stakeholders vulnerable, allowing some oil marketing companies, OMCs, to take advantage of them through unfair contract and unsustainable commercial margins that fail to achieve cost recovery.
The new NPA Act that is coming, dealers must be fully recognized. And beyond that, I also think that NPA must have an arm at its headquarters to listen to the plights of these dealers in addressing their challenges in terms of the contract they sign with these OMCs, so that we can have a sustainable downstream that serves the interests of all petroleum service providers.
While commending the NPA for its recent progress in addressing the compensation and remuneration grievances of tanker drivers, the SEMSA boss emphasized that the regulatory focus must now expand to dealers and pump attendants in 2026.
Beyond the tanker drivers, the petroleum downstream are also fuel attendants and then dealers. I think that the year 2026 must be a year that also needs some reform in the petroleum downstream so that we can address the compensation issues of the dealers and also fuel attendants at most of the retail outlets. The dealers complain that because of unregulated fiscal regime or margin regime they have with their OMCs, some of these OMCs are taking advantage of them and giving them smaller margins based on sales volumes.
That was a report on SEMSI calling for regulatory reforms to protect petroleum dealers from exploitative contracts. Before we part company, let's take a look at how the cedi is faring against other major trading currencies and how some of the key commodities are also faring on the global market.
On the interbank foreign exchange markets, the dollar is selling at 11 cedis 46 pesos. It's gained 2 pesos. The British pound is selling at 15 cedis 38 pesos. It's gained 9 pesos. The euro is selling at 13 cedis 104 pesos. It also lost 6 pesos. However, be guided that these figures could be higher at the Forex Bureau name. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $76.09 per barrel. Gold is trading at $4,124.30 per ounce, up by $46.60. Cocoa is trading at $6,455 per ton, up by $403.
And that was an update from the forest and community markets, and that's how we end the business news on Sunrise. For more news updates, just log on to our website, it's 3news.com. In a world where you can be anything, just be kind, because nothing to be kind. Good morning.